Welcome back to the deep dive. We often find that looking at really specific, maybe even niche markets can tell us some surprisingly big things about global trends.
Absolutely.
And today, we're asking a bit of a curious question. Could this simple tennis bag actually be a kind of secret barometer, for global economic shifts, maybe even changing leisure habits?
That's a great
We're
question.
about to dive deep into the fascinating world of the global tennis bags market. And guiding us through this is some really comprehensive data from cognitive market research.
It's right. And our job today really is to get beyond just the raw figures. We want to uncover the dynamics, the surprising stuff happening underneath. We'll
Oh,
look at who's buying these bags, sure, but
yeah.
also why the market's growing so, well, unevenly across the world, and what these differences might tell us about sports consumption, maybe even global development patterns.
Right.
It's a really revealing snapshot, I think, of where tennis is maybe finding new energy, new fans.
And I think you're going to find this market isn't just, expanding steadily. It's actually throwing up some genuinely unexpected hotspots, some really intriguing contrasts around the world that challenge assumptions.
Yeah.
So let's maybe set the stage first. The big picture global figures for tennis bags, because that overall view is quite compelling.
Okay, let's do it.
In 2021, the market globally was valued at $218.547 million.
Okay, a solid base.
Yeah, but that's just the start. It's projected to climb up to $266.76 million by 2025.
Right.
And then really jump, projected to hit an impressive $397.441 million by 2033.
Wow.
And that works out to a pretty steady compound annual growth rate, the CAGR,
Yeah.
of 5.11%.
Yeah, and what's really insightful there, I think, is that it's not just a tiny bit of growth year on year.
Yeah.
It's this sustained upward curve over like more than a decade. It kind of hints that tennis might be shaking off that, elite or niche sport image in quite a few places.
Interesting point.
Yeah, it suggests the sport's broadening its appeal, maybe reaching beyond usual demographics. It could be becoming more accessible, more popular as just a leisure activity, potentially even getting a boost from people looking for outdoor, maybe socially distant sports recently.
Good point, yeah.
So this isn't just about, current players buying new bags. It feels more like new players coming onto the court.
That's a really crucial distinction. Okay, so with that global picture, where is this growth actually happening? Let's zoom in a bit. How about North America? It's a big market, obviously, but some interesting things going on internally.
Yeah, North America's key.
So in 2021, the market there was valued around $57.5 million. It's projected to get over $100 million by 2033. The overall CAGR is about 4.86%. So slightly under the global average, but still strong.
Okay, solid growth.
But yeah, when we drill down into the countries,
Yeah.
the United States is, as you'd expect, the biggest chunk.
Makes sense.
But it's actually Canada that seems to be accelerating faster within the region.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Canada's showing a significantly higher growth rate, a pretty robust 5.9992% CAGR.
Wow, almost 6%.
Exactly. Compare that to the U.S., which is growing around 4.6%. Still good, but noticeably slower than Canada.
Okay.
And Mexico, while it is growing, it lags behind both, with a slower 3.79% CAGR.
That's a fascinating split, isn't it? It raises that question. What do you think is driving Canada's faster pace compared to the US?
Yeah, what could it be?
I mean, is it just a smaller market playing catch up? Or maybe something else, like specific government programs pushing tennis, or perhaps a younger growing group really getting into the sport?
Should be.
The US market is pretty mature, right? So maybe Canada just has more room to grow, more untapped potential there.
I think you might be onto something with that untapped potential. It could definitely be a mix of things. Maybe that younger demographic discovering tennis, or, like you said, successful grassroots programs kicking in.
Yeah, possibly.
Okay, so moving across the Atlantic now, let's look at Europe. We see consistent growth there too, but again, its own kind of unique variations.
Right. How does Europe stack up?
Well, the European market was valued at about $35.5 million back in 2021. It's projected to expand to nearly $63 million by 2033.
Okay.
So the overall CGR there is just under 5%. It's 4.95%. Pretty close to North America's overall rate.
Okay, steady rally there then.
Steady rally, good one. But within Europe, the performance really varies quite a bit.
Ah, okay.
Big economies like the UK and Germany, they're showing strong growth. KGRs in the high fives for the UK, low fives for Germany.
Right. Strong showings.
But then countries like France, Italy, Spain, They're seeing more moderate increases, typically in that 4 to 4.5% CGR range.
Still growing, but not quite as fast.
Exactly. But here's a real curiosity. There's a category labeled Rest of Europe.
Okay.
That category actually showed the highest regional growth within Europe,
Yeah.
a really remarkable 6.589% CAGR.
Get out. Higher than the UK.
Yeah. That category grew from about $2.5 million in 2021 to projected over $5.3 million by 2033.
Huh. So looking at that wider picture, these variations are pretty telling, aren't they?
They really are.
That strong momentum in the rest of Europe, wow. That could really point to emerging tennis markets, maybe in smaller countries or places not traditionally seen as tennis hotspots in Europe.
Good point.
It makes you wonder what collective factors are driving that. Could it be, like, increased leisure spending in newer EU states? Or maybe better sports facilities funded regionally? Or even, the success of some local tennis stars we don't hear about as much?
Would be any of those.
Yeah, it just shows that growth isn't always where you expect it in the biggest economies. It hints at a much wider adoption of the sport across the continent.
Exactly. And speaking of surges, let's talk Asia Pacific, because this region is truly dynamic. In many ways, it's actually leading the global market.
Okay, the fastest forehand, perhaps.
Huh, nice. Well, it was the largest regional market back in 2021, valued at almost $79 million then.
Wow, already the biggest.
Yeah, and projected to reach a huge $154 million by 2033. The overall Asia-Pacific CAGR is 5.677%. That's actually higher than the global average we mentioned earlier.
Okay, so definitely leading the charge. Who are the main drivers there?
Well, the key players are definitely worth highlighting. China is leading in terms of sheer value.
Right.
Its market is projected to more than double, from about $22.8 million in 2021 to over $46 million by 2033. That's a strong 5.929% CAGR.
Very strong.
India also shows really robust growth, a powerful 6.435% CAGR there.
India's really jumping.
Yeah. And then other significant contributors, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and also the rapidly growing Southeast Asia region as a whole, they're all seeing solid growth too. Generally in that 5 to 6% range, they're collectively just pushing the whole region forward.
This data point, it really makes me wonder about the specific things driving Asia-Pacific's dominance and these consistently high growth rates.
Yeah, what's the secret sauce?
Well, we're likely seeing a really powerful mix, right? Rising disposable incomes across many of these countries, that's key. It just allows more spending on leisure, on sports gear.
Sure.
Then there's just increasing participation in sports generally, not only tennis. Plus, you've got strategic market development. Big sports brands know the potential of these huge, often young populations.
Right, they're focusing efforts there.
Exactly. It's like this powerful cocktail that positions Asia-Pacific as a true powerhouse in global sports consumption. And it really suggests a growing middle class that's actively looking for new ways to spend their leisure time.
That makes a lot of sense. It paints a very clear picture. Okay, let's shift gears now. South America. This region seems like it's playing, well, mixed doubles in this market.
Mixed doubles, how so?
Moderate overall growth, but some genuinely stark differences within the continent.
The
The market value in 2021 was around $17.5 million, projected to reach nearly $30 million by 2033. So the overall South American CDR is about 4.586%. Still decent growth.
Okay, 4.5%, not bad overall.
But the contrast within the continent is what's really striking. Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, they all show solid growth. CGR is around 4.7% to 4.8%.
Right, pretty consistent there.
Countries like Peru and Chile, a bit more moderate, around 4% to 4.2% CGR.
Okay.
However, that rest of South America category,
Oh no, not another one.
yeah, this one showed remarkably minimal growth. I mean, strikingly low. The DAGR is 0.147%.
0.1, that's practically flat.
It basically is. It moved from about $738,000 in 2021 to just $771,000 projected for 2033, over a whole decade.
Wow. That extreme difference in South America, especially that almost stagnant rest of South America, that's a really stark reminder, isn't it?
It really is.
Even within one continent, you can have such different realities. It speaks to maybe diverse economic stability, maybe different cultural priorities, or just a lack of focused sports development in some areas.
Yeah.
It suggests that national policies, or even just local community efforts to promote tennis, might play a much bigger role than we sometimes assume. It's not just a small difference. It's like two completely different market stories happening side by side.
That's a really crucial insight, how localized factors can just dramatically shape the market. Okay, so from one kind of extreme to another, let's look now at the Middle East. This region is characterized by, well, noticeably slower expansion overall.
Okay, a slower serve here then.
You could say that. The market value for tennis bags was around $21.2 million in 2021, projected to reach about $29.8 million by 2033.
Okay.
The overall CGR is 2.829%, which makes it the slowest growing region globally.
Right, under 3%. What about individual countries there?
Digging into the details, Saudi Arabia actually leads the region, with a KGR of about 3.4%.
Okay, leading but still modest compared to other regions.
Exactly. The UAE and Qatar show moderate growth, around 3% to 3.5% CGR. Turkey and Egypt experienced slightly slower growth, more in the 2.5% to 2.6% range. And the rest of the Middle East category recorded the lowest growth within the region at 2.146% CGR.
So looking at the slowdown in the Middle East, what might be behind that? Any thoughts?
That's the question.
It could be several things, right? Maybe tennis, while it's present, just isn't seeing that same explosion in popularity or participation as elsewhere.
Yeah, maybe other sports are more dominant.
Could be. Other deeply ingrained popular sports might divert attention, divert investment, or perhaps it's even market maturity in some of the wealthier Gulf nations.
Possible.
It's not like it's declining, but yeah, it's definitely not experiencing that dynamic expansion we're seeing in, say, Asia or Africa.
Okay, speaking of Africa, now for what I think is genuinely the most unexpected story in this whole deep dive.
All right, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Let's talk about Africa. Despite being the smallest market by far in 2021, just $8.239 million.
Okay, very small base.
Very small. But it's projected to reach over $19.6 million by 2033. And it boasts an incredible overall Africa CAGR of 7.429%.
7.4, that's huge.
It's the highest regional CGR globally.
Wow, an unexpected ace indeed.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the growth within Africa is just as impressive. Nigeria shows rapid growth, 7.719% TAGR.
Okay, Nigeria's flying.
But the absolute standout, the highest country CAGR among all countries globally is South Africa. Get this, 8.127%.
8.1, that's phenomenal.
Isn't it? And even the rest of Africa category contributed significantly with a really robust 6.907% CAGR. It's just this powerful transformation happening from that smaller starting point.
Wow. What's fascinating there is just the sheer potential that high growth signals coming from that smaller base.
Exactly.
This could really mean a significant boom in tennis participation is underway. Maybe it's driven by more investment in sports infrastructure, growing youth populations, emerging economies fostering new leisure habits.
Could be all of that.
It tells us that the future potential of sports markets isn't just in the places we normally look, the established regions. It's very much in these developing economies that are rapidly embracing global sports. And that, to me, that's incredibly exciting.
Yeah.
It's a powerful sign of where the next wave of sports consumption might be coming from, and it really defies a lot of conventional expectations.
So, okay, let's try and synthesize all these different serves and volleys across the globe. The core finding seems pretty clear. The global tennis bags market is definitely trending upwards.
Yep, growing overall.
But it reveals this really interesting global map of tennis passion, doesn't it? Africa and Asia Pacific are, like, unequivocally leading the growth charge.
Yeah.
Showing incredible dynamism, huge future potential.
Absolutely, the growth hotspots.
And then you have Europe and North America, still substantial, still growing, but it feels more like steady, mature growth.
Right, holding serve, maybe.
Exactly. And then we noted the Middle East's slower, but still positive expansion.
Yeah. So what does this all really mean for you, our listener? I think it underscores that even in these seemingly niche markets like tennis bags, the geographical details are absolutely crucial. They help us understand broader global economic trends, sports trends. It encourages us to think about how these regional differences might shape everything from, say, product design for those bags to marketing campaigns, maybe even the future direction of tennis itself.
Good point.
The story of these bags is kind of a microcosm, isn't it? A small window into global economic development and cultural shifts, showing how prosperity and leisure time are sort of intertwining differently across continents.
It really is. I mean, the fact that South Africa had the highest country CEGR globally, or just a sheer range of growth rates within South America alone, it just highlights that you can find these incredible stories hidden in the data if you just, look closely enough.
Indeed. And it kind of leaves us with a thought-provoking question, doesn't it? What other everyday items, what other seemingly small markets might reveal such intricate and dynamic global patterns if we really took a deep dive into their data?
That's a great question to ponder.
Yeah, the world's full of these hidden stories, just waiting for us to uncover them.
Precisely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the perhaps surprisingly complex world of global tennis bags. We hope you'll keep exploring the hidden stories behind the numbers. Until next time.